Thank you. Thank you. That was awesome. So, welcome, live streamers. When I listen, I don't always like what I hear. And when I hear, yes, that's right, then I know my prayer is for courage to follow the guidance that I have been given. So, a couple weeks ago, I talked about our making the decision to take a closer walk with God. And then I talked about the only New Year's resolution really is to remember that you've partnered with a greater good, and that greater good is right where you are. That's really the only New Year's resolution would be that I know that I know that I know, as Ernest Holmes would say. So many New Thought churches at this time are doing a Back to Basics series. Back to Basics are the first 4 chapters, the introductory chapters of the Science of Mind text. So last week we did the thing itself, which is God, which is the universe, which in our teaching we say is mind, the divine mind, that power and presence which created everything out of itself. God plus nothing is God, so there isn't anything else for everything for that to be, because it created out of itself. And it so loved the creation that it was generating out of itself that it named it good and very good, and ours is the journey of discovering that truth, discovering that indeed life is good. Now, one of the things that I am aware of is that when you said I'm going to take a closer walk with God, when you said that I'm going to spiritualize my experience on earth, however old you were at that point in time, when you said, I love God, I love the universe, I love that connection, that energy, and so I'm going to commit to understanding how to grow and evolve my life, what you also said was, any place where it isn't, show me so that I can be inspired with the truth and love unconditionally. Any place where you are not living in the wholeness and the divinity and the perfection and the love of God, if that is who you are, those rubs are coming up for you to say, oh, there's a rub, there's a place where I get to practice. Now, Michael Beckwith one time said, if you see somebody that's really in a challenging life experience, instead of saying, oh, poor thing, your life is such a mess, you could look at them and say, woohoo, something really great is about to be birthed through you. You're on the precipice of a greater good than you've ever experienced before. Because the places where we haven't let the light of wisdom and love shine in are the dark spots. And when the dark spots really come and visit upon us in a dark experience, that's really where that spirit is knocking at the door of consciousness saying, I can show you the way. I can lead you to higher ground. Now, I'm reading Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, and that book was written in 1937. Our textbook was written in 1927, 10 years before. 15 million copies of Think and Grow Rich have been sold. 15 million copies of Think and Grow Rich have been sold. The one that I have is a revised edition where they're actually plugging in some of our current really successful people and talking about their lives and what they do and how they manifest success. Think and Grow Rich is just missing one word that the Science of Mind text uses on every single page, and that's the God word. And in the Science of Mind text, it's on every single page. And in Think and Grow Rich, he talks about infinite intelligence. He talks about cause and effect. He talks about the power of prayer. He talks about manifesting and demonstrating a greater good for yourself. But he never uses that word God. Now, some people, when they come to church and they hear me talk a lot about God, I've actually had somebody come to church and say that I didn't talk enough about God. I was like, whoa, I don't know what that would look like for you, but I don't know that I can go there. I talk a lot about God, and the God word for me is it's a good word, and it doesn't have a lot of old ideology that makes it outside of myself. And I say it instead of he, because when I say he, for me, there's a little bit of separation that happens right in that very moment. But when I say it, I'm talking about an energy that's impersonal. Somebody one time said, "What do you mean it's impersonal?" Well, the life force made all of us out of itself, and it really didn't take your opinion into consideration. It just creates, and if you want to see how much it loves to create, take an apple seed, one apple seed. You know how many, that one apple made one apple seed. But you have no idea what's coded in one apple seed or what it could do. Because if the universe grabs a hold of that apple seed, it could grow an orchard from a seed. It could grow one tree from a seed that could produce a gazillion apples or none at all. So there's a mystery of creation all around us. So the thing itself is God, the universe, that power, that presence, the force be with you. And now this is the way it works. And so the way it works is it works through you. It can't give you anything you don't accept. It can't give you anything you don't embrace or embody. To the degree that you believe that your life is a blessing, there's something out in the universe that says, so be it. There's a really great meditation artist, Shamanic Dreams, and on one side of it, that both sides have the same music, but one side has a background chant that says, so be it. And I couldn't hear it for the longest time. I'm like, what is that? And my massage therapist would play it, and and it sounded like mumbling until I figured out that it's saying, so be it, just like the creative medium around us is saying, so be it, to the impress of our thoughts. Now, if you think in alignment with love and peace and harmony and wisdom and grace, so be it is manifesting that in your experience. If you're saying it's hard and I didn't do it right and I feel shameful about it and it's effortsome and a struggle and I'm getting older and I'm tired, that universe is saying, so be it. It loves you so much. It is the same power to give you your good as to give you the thing that you don't like. Now, the challenge when we are faced with an inequity is not to put our energy on it, because by putting our energy on the inequity, by telling the story of our inequities, we actually energize them by the telling of them, by the relationship that we have with them. It doesn't mean that we don't have thoughts, particularly if the inequity in your life is looming, if it's a health challenge. I just did a memorial service for a family that the sadness and guilt over loss is just so very, very present. And instead of being in my opinion, I can just be in my awe state that must be a painful, difficult place for that family to be. Not a place that anybody else would ever sentence somebody to. So in our philosophy, we don't believe that God said, you need to suffer. We believe that God said, look what I created and how great it is. And you, because your individual expressions, get to discover that for yourself. Because if we didn't get to discover that for ourselves, we wouldn't be individuals. So the universe doesn't say, shame on you, you're thinking nasty thoughts. The universe just keeps giving you more things that match those thoughts. So if you say your relationships are challenging and they never work out, the universe can't give you a good relationship. If you say my body's got one challenge after another, and the DSM-5 or whatever it is, the most recent psychological find out what's wrong with you, It actually has a disease. I don't know what the name of it is because I'm not going to look that up. The disease of one problem right after another, one physical ailment right after another. Now, current research is saying that the Bible knew something, that Ernest Holmes knew something, that research is now supporting. And that is that the human brain is incapable of entertaining or worshiping two gods at once. It can only focus, be interested in one thing at a time. So when the Bible said don't worship two gods, don't worship the God of spirit and the God of form, don't worship the God of good and the God of bad, you can't do it at the same time. So what research says is if you have a hobby or something that you like to do, and when you do that hobby and that thing, like Sylvia's up here knitting, I like to crochet. So when you're doing that thing, you go into a zone. And so research was curious about what's that zone that you go into and what's actually happening to you. Because you can't focus on two things at once. When you are focusing on something that you love, that brings you peace, that is of interest to you, you actually put the storytelling of your inequities on pause. Because your brain can't entertain what isn't at the same time it's focusing on what is. So whatever it is that you love to do actually gives you a moment of rest from your own story in your own head about what is not. Now remember, if you said at some point along the way, I choose a spiritual path, I choose a deeper understanding of what the divine is all about, I choose to know that I go with God, then every place that isn't occurring in your life shows up for you to tell the truth to that experience. But if you're caught in the story of it, it's hard to tell the truth. Now, one of the things that both books do a very good job of is talking about the emotions that need to be engaged in affirmations. So what we're doing with affirmations is we have a conscious mind that's about 10% and we have a subconscious mind that's about 90%. The subconscious mind has stored every single thing that has ever happened to you. And if when you were a child, you decided that you weren't of value, you went out and the rest of your life, you proved that belief to be the truth. So you created experience after experience after experience that said, I'm not important, or I'm not valued, or my opinion doesn't matter, or I never get what I want. Whatever it is that you said, you went out and you proved it right. And then in that 90% of subjective mind is the recorded memory of all of those things that ever happened. Kind of like, in my Father's house there are many mansions, many dimensions of consciousness. The one dimension of consciousness that is the one of choice would be the one of faith. I absolutely know that God, life is for me. I know that there is love and wisdom and right action all around me. We use those affirmations because we want to drop those into that big container. It's kind of like if you had a museum and one room of the museum was absolutely a meditative spiritual experience of beauty. And then there's another room that had every crummy family experience that you ever had. And then there's another room that had every thwarted relationship. And then there's another room that had every animal that you had ever lost. And then there was another room that had your dashed hopes and dreams. And you have the choice of which room to hang out in. And you can't hang out in more than one. But as you program by choice, The room of choice, that is the spiritual room, the room of good, the room of love, the room of peace, the room of empowerment. As you spend more time in that room, and you only have like 10% that you're capable of spending there anyway, pretty soon the room gets so stocked up with the stuff of the greatness of life that it has to get moved out to other rooms. And so then pretty soon, the room of a relationship has also got some good experiences in it. The room of lost pets has got the, oh my gosh, I loved those pets and that love lives in my heart. And so that room starts to get better. Why we use affirmations, why we tell ourselves the truth, is so that we can build up that subconscious so that it, when we are unconscious, tells the truth of the love of life, tells the truth of the peace and divinity that's present everywhere. Now, a story that's been told in 7 different cultures is the demon in the curly hair. Those of you who come here often know I love this story. Those of you who don't get to hear it for the first time. The demon in the curly hair went into 7 different cultures with oral tradition, which to many historians believe it is a truth. Any truth stays. Our philosophy is built on the truth teaching. So we think there's maybe something to the story of the demon and the curly hair. There was a man who wanted to have everything that he thought he ever needed or wanted, and so he went to the sage, the magic magician, make whatever it is that I want and need, and said, I would like a servant to do every single thing for me. The sage said, are you sure? He said, yes, I want something that will do everything for me. I have lots of plans. I need to get lots of stuff done. The sage said, okay, I'm going to give you a warning before I give you the demon. He's a demon. If he doesn't have something to do, he'll run you down and eat you alive. You have to give him something to do all the time. The man said, I don't have a problem with that. I have a lot of things I want. So off the man went with his demon. He got to his land and he said, I want this land. I want all the rocks taken off this land. Well, in way not enough time, the demon removed all the rocks from the land. The man said, okay, well, this will take him a little bit more time. I want a palace built here. So in way less time than he thought, that demon built that palace. Well, then he said he needed some to plant the fields. So the demon planted the fields. Then he said he needed some livestock. So the demon got him some livestock. Then he said he needed a wife, so the demon got him a wife. So then he said he needed some children, so the demon poofed him some children. It was going way too fast. Before he knew it, the man was like, couldn't think of one more thing for the demon to do, so he ran back to the sage with the demon on his heels. And as soon as they got to the sage's house, the sage plucked curly hair from his head and said to the demon, stand that on end. So the sage said, that is your mind. If you do not give it something constructive to do, it will run you down and eat you alive. Something constructive to do are affirmations of the truth, are to begin to take faith, which is faith in a good life, a good God, faith in humankind. Don't answer this, but for just a moment, what are some of your beliefs about humankind? What are some of your beliefs about certain humankinds? What are your beliefs? What is knocking at the door of your consciousness that an invitation to open that door would be to let the light in, to let the love and the wisdom, the divinity in? I had a kid who in the 1st and 2nd grade was learning to be inadequate. She was learning to be discouraged. She was learning that she couldn't do what other kids her age could do. And she was learning that she shouldn't feel good about herself, that she should be ashamed of herself about that. So she came home from school one day and she said, I give up. It doesn't matter. She's 6. I give up. Nobody likes me. I don't have any friends. I can't go back to school. I hate it there. Life is terrible. Eeyore, life is terrible. I said, I had just found my way here. I said, the truth is everybody loves me. Say, everybody loves me. Everybody loves me. I said, I don't think that's going to do it. Now remember, emotion and feeling is what empowers our word. So here's a little kid standing in front of me. I like school. Everybody loves me. It wasn't working. I said, okay, jump up and down. So she starts just, everybody loves me. She's jumping, everybody loves me. She starts laughing because she feels kind of stupid. So she keeps jumping. I say, twirl around. Everybody loves me. Pretty soon she's dancing through the house, twirling around, saying, everybody loves me. I'm happy. I feel good. Life is good. 3 days later, she comes home from school and tells me, Mom, it worked. It worked. I mean, they're nicer to me there. Now, Emmett Fox wrote The Golden Key. And in The Golden Key, he tells you the key to success. It's a little pamphlet. It's one of the chapters in his compilation of, I can't think of it, Alter Your Life. And those are all his little pamphlets. And so it is in Alter Your Life. And Emmett Fox's material is in public domain, so you can just go home and Google Emmett Fox and the Golden Key, and the entire text will come up, and you can print it and read it, or you can read it right there online. So in the Golden Key, he tells a story about a woman who's downtrodden because she can't make a success of her life and her finances are challenging and she doesn't know what to do. And he teaches her to use affirmations to connect with intuition. Her intuition begins to guide her, and what we believe here is intuition is not just some feminine energy that only tells girls what to do and what not to do. That intuition is actually the voice of God that guides us. And our practice is about listening, but most of us are kind of busy thinking about what other people should or shouldn't do instead of listening to that guidance and that wisdom. So she gets this intuition, and it guides her to do a sewing project and to begin to put out her information about what it is that she can do. And in maybe 12 pages or so, she completely turns her life around. But she turns her life around by listening to her guidance. There's something in each one of us that longs for us to be at peace, that longs for us to live in love, that longs for us to understand our divinity and our connectedness, but we have to listen, be still, and listen to that guidance. And when that guidance comes, we have to have the courage to say yes. When we say yes to the universe gives us the next idea. When we say no, I don't like that idea, the universe doesn't go away in guidance. We get more hard of hearing to that wisdom. To the degree that you embrace and embody divinity, you have that as your experience. So, Think and Grow Rich, I was like, and I'm still, written in 1937, totally about manifesting money. And starts right off with, you have to have a burning desire to love money. I'm like, I have a little aversion to that. I'm like, okay, I'm going to read this and get through this because there's got to be something in here. Ernest Holmes is very much the same way. You take nothing from the universe by opening yourself to your good. What is your good? So 1927, 1937, the whole world is in a really different place than it is today. The population is in a totally different place than it is today. That doesn't mean that the wisdom in you is going to tell you what was appropriate for 1927 or 1937. The wisdom that's available to you today will tell you exactly what you need to know to grow your faith. To grow your faith that this life is indeed a gift, a blessing for which I am grateful, and I know what it is that I'm supposed to do. So in a couple of different things that I've been working on, I'm not really a goal setter. I'm not really the whiteboard person. I'm in a mastermind group, and I have a whiteboard that is on my wall and has been on my wall for about 6 months, blank. So because I felt bad about it being blank, I cut a picture of the black Lexus that I wanted, and that was the only thing that was on the board, and it only took about 2 weeks for it to jump off the board and pull into my garage. So I was kind of like, I'm going to guess that thing probably works, and that just scared me all the more about it. So I put up a couple of words. I'm a word person. Then I started drawing a picture, blah, blah, blah. So there's a whole bunch of stuff there. But Napoleon Hill says, write your goals. So I go in there under the direction of writing my goals. You're supposed to read them every night and every morning. And so I write my goals. I'm like, yeah, right. So that was yesterday. I wrote them all out yesterday. I walked by it this morning and I look at it. I'm like, oh, take my eraser. I'm committing to ministry for not until I'm 70, but until I'm 75. I'm like, oh my God, no wonder I'm afraid of this thing. So I get guidance about things. Now, I'm not defining what that looks like. I'm simply, I had the date too. It was my birthday of 2026, which is, well, that's 10 years. Oh no, so I was fussing the dates. There's something in us that knows. Our journey of accepting, of welcoming, of opening ourselves. You may not be able to tell it what you want, but the practice, the journey we accepted is to listen and to allow it to have its way with us. It will not lead you astray. It did not drop you off with your parents on planet Earth to figure it all out for yourself. It dropped you off and it stayed here with you. And every step of the way, it has been saying, don't you know who you are? I know who you are. I know you to be a precious child of the Most High. I know that there was never any place that you should have ever been that you learned shame, that you learned less than, unless that is the frontier for you to break through to let the light in. And only you can do it for yourself. God bless you for choosing church. So I invite you to take this moment and turn within with me right now. Our hearts are open to a new idea. That voice within us asks us to follow. It asks us to live in peace with infinite possibility, with unconditional love and acceptance. It asks us to step into honor and appreciation for the divinity that we are in expression. It asks us to humble ourselves to know that that which came with us is greater than we will ever be, and our journey is about the waltz with the Spirit, that we may know that we are precious children of the Most High, that thing that can consume us can be entertained by thinking, God is good, life is good, my life is good. I am inspired to know how to be at peace. My imagination is entertained by living a life full, a spiritual life. My imagination rises up into the idea, what does God mind think about me? I know what God mind thinks about you, precious children of the Most High, on purpose, housing the highest self there is, and discovering that divinity, that wisdom, that love and grace is within you. Open the portals of your soul. Allow that love and light to shine forth. It will bless you in the process. It will attract to you good and greater good. Whatever it is that you have come to fulfill, the Spirit has everything that you would ever need to make that thing a reality. Let go and let God. Be in gratitude for how great thou art. Walk softly. Know that the presence is all about you, and mind your own business. Thank you, God. And so it is. Amen.